Hello, everybody. So this is what we're going to be painting today. I was just practicing these little cherry blossoms, which I absolutely love. If you haven't seen my tutorial on the lilacs, those are in there as well. So we're going to be painting these little cherry blossoms, which, like I said, I just love. So make sure you've got your 2 containers of water, your washing container, and your rinsing. Today I'm using my Winsor Newton paints with my Princeton number 8 Velvet Touch brush. Let me grab my paper towel. Okay, and got my palette. So the colors we're going to be using today are going to be, let's go with, I think I want to go in with magenta, permanent magenta, I believe it's called. It's kind of dark, let me show you, but when I add some water to it, it's going to lighten up a lot. And remember, the way we lighten a color is by adding water, not adding white to it. I mean, you can do that, but I typically don't use white. Okay, so we've got our magenta color, which is basically going to be the color that we'll be using. So let's just start with the first petal, and we're going to have some different angles here. So I think that'll be fun. So take your brush, put a little bit of paint, a little bit of water, and let's do the first leaf here, petal, excuse me. Now, the paper I'm using is just a student grade paper, so it's not going to be reacting like I might like it to. That's okay. And we'll do the second petal here. I always like keeping this white space and remembering in my other tutorials, you're always moving towards the center. So all the petals are coming out of the center, right? So let's make this one pointing towards the center, come around, there we go. There's that petal. If you need to move around your paper, go ahead. Let's do a side view one, putting pressure and coming up to the side. Then we'll have one more small one coming out right here, okay? So there we go. That's our first one. Cherry blossoms actually have quite round leaves on them. I'm going to go back in with a darker version of this and just tap in the middle and let it spread on its own. So all petals are pointing towards the middle. Let's do one kind of on a side angle here. And I'm going to use a little bit different value in my paint. So the first petal, there we go. So notice that is a different value of the same hue or color. And then we're going to come down with our other petal, making sure it is pointing towards the center of the flower. We're going to do this petal right in front. There we go. And then we'll have this one kind of sneaking up in the background here. Again, all these petals are facing kind of in this direction. Now I'm going to take a break here because what I want to do is I like to add in the branches and the leaves while my flowers are wet so that we get that beautiful mixing right there. That, again, my friends, is what we love about watercolor. So I'm going to use a little bit of brown because cherry blossoms are more like on a branch type of thing. Okay. So, isn't that beautiful? Love that, love that, love that. That's what I love about watercolors. Let's go on to the next flower, which is going to be kind of coming out a little different direction. I'm going to, again, lighten it. So let's put the first branch here. Remember, cherry blossoms are kind of round, but they do taper in at the bottom. Let's do our second one here, kind of coming around. There we go. And we've got one on the side here. And let's just do a few in the back here, kind of peeking over, right? There we go. I'm going to take my darker version of this color and just tap in the middle. Get a little bit of that spread. Can do that here too. This is where watercolor is so much fun. I just love it. I love how it kind of does its own thing here. And I'll tell you, people keep asking me about paper and things like that. You know, it really does make a difference. So, of course, if all you can afford is a student grade paper, do that. I paint on it all the time. My classes, I give them student grade paper and it's just fine. So don't worry about that. Like, it's not going to be good, but buy as much value, buy the best paper that you can. So I use 140 pound or 300 GSM, and it's cold press. And the reason I buy the cold press is because of that kind of modeling or the texture that it gives you with your paints. So this is our last flower here. Let's see, let's do kind of this way, kind of bringing it in towards the middle. A little bit rounder leaf in the back, like that. Let's make one coming out here. There we go. And we're going to do another one of these. That's kind of coming out to the side here. There we go. So I like working with the different angles. It was kind of hard for me to do that at first because it can be kind of a weird perception, but play with it because I think it's important to change the directions that your flowers go in to create some interest. So right now, you know what, you're kind of coming into my picture this way, into this flower, and then you're traveling up. This one's pointing you out. This kind of draws you back in, and it just creates a lot of interest. So let's go back into our sap green here. And again, because the branches on a cherry blossom are a little bit, you know, they're brown. Now, the other thing I like to do is in my stems and branches, I will add in a little bit, just a tad of the color of the flower so it kind of matches, I guess. Just kind of has that hue. Okay. And cherry blossoms kind of have these little stemmy things coming out. They're attached like that. And they have these. This one coming down. Like this. Okay, isn't that beautiful? Look at those. So that kind of takes care of that. Now, this is going to be a little bit difficult because I would really like for these to dry before I do the next piece. And I'm going to use my thinner brush. One sec. I found these online on Amazon. They're pretty good. They're just, I don't think they're anything special, really. It says Alex is the brand, but look at that point. I mean, that is, don't know if you can see that. It's like an eyeliner brush. It says size 000. So what we're gonna do, I'm afraid that these aren't dry, but we're gonna go ahead and go in there anyway. What I wanna create is, sorry for the camera bump there, these little tiny, hold on a second here, dots. So you're going to do that on this painting, but make sure that the painting is dry first, because otherwise you're just going to get a big, huge mess. And again, you might take your black and add in a little bit of that red. And we're just going to color the dots in like so, using this tiny, tiny brush. Like I said, it reminds me of a little eyeliner brush. Let's see if my painting's dry and we can go in there. But you can really get these thin lines. They're all coming out of the center of the flower. So let's see if we can do that. Normally I might take a hair dryer at this point and kind of go in here and dry this, but I don't have the time for that right now. So let's create our little dots where all of these come out and kind of making it in a circle somewhat. And then using this tiny brush to create these little stamens. And before I do that too, I think I'm going to go in and I am going to color in a little bit deeper in the middle here. There we go. I think it just adds some interest. So this brush I'm using is a Degato. It's a number 4 round. If I could afford to have all Princeton, I would, because I love Princeton. They're my favorite brush, especially the velvet touch. This one, let's see, you might see some of, hopefully you can see what I'm doing here. These just poking out from above. Now that was still wet, like this. Go back and create some of those dots. And we got those, let's put some in here. Now this is my front petal, so I don't want to go in that, okay? I'm going to go back to my little eyeliner brush. I'm going to just add in some stamens here. Just like that. Look how pretty those are. And this one even got a little bit, spread a little bit, but that's okay. I'm not worried about that. That's one of the things I love about watercolors. So, it's a little tiny brush. There you go. So that's pretty much it. You can always go back in and add a little bit more color if you want it in here. Not really necessary though. Sometimes I just go back and play. See what it looks like. Cherry blossoms are so beautiful. I just sold a painting actually I'd done with the cherry blossoms. If you're the buyer, I'd love to hear from you. I didn't recognize her. So I really should have went in there and done a little bit of deepening the center. Let's go in there like this. If you want to lighten that a bit, just draw your brush and pick it up like that. Okay, so there you have it. There are my cherry blossoms. I hope you give this a try, and message me if you have any questions. All right, thank you so much. Have a great day, everyone.